Well, after the US and the UK, New Zealand is the latest nation to accuse China of a cyber espionage campaign. Both the UK and US have charged China with orchestrating cyber attacks on their strategically important companies and government officials. The New Zealand government has raised concerns over the Chinese involvement in a state-sponsored cyber attack on its parliament in 2021. A top New Zealand intelligence official told a parliamentary committee that 7 New Zealand citizens provided training to China's military in the last 18 months. The official called it a major national security risk. The New Zealand Government Communications Security Bureau, also known as the GSSB, claims that the Chinese state-sponsored actors known as Advanced Persistent Threat 40 or the APT-40 was behind the New Zealand 2021 Parliament cyber attack. Meanwhile, in a joint statement, the UK and the US governments have alleged a hacking group, also the APT-31, being behind cyber attacks in both countries. The APT-31 is believed to be affiliated with China's Ministry of State Security. Both the UK and the US alleged that the group used phishing techniques to conduct the attacks. Victims were sent emails containing hidden tracking links, and when they opened them, information including the recipient's location, device and IP address were transmitted to a server controlled by the hackers. Bad actors used the information to enable more targeted hacking, like compromising home routers of the recipients and other electronic devices. The U.S. Deputy Attorney General Lisa Monaco has said that 10,000 phishing emails were sent as part of the hacking campaign to repress critics of the Chinese regime, compromising government institutions and to steal trade targets. The U.S. government has announced rewards of up to $10 million for information on Wuhan XRZ, APT-31 or any of the other 7 Chinese MSS hackers. Meanwhile, China has denied the hacking allegations by the UK. A Chinese Foreign Ministry spokesperson has said the evidence Britain has provided is insufficient and unprofessional. And Julia Chapman is now joining us live from the UK on the British government holding China responsible for malicious cyber activity, including on its election process, along with other nations. And well, Julia, certainly very serious allegations there by the UK in that joint statement and that press release that's gone to all the nations. And as you know, we've all received it, making some very strong statements against the Chinese government.
That's right, and I think what's striking about what we've learned over the last couple of days is the scale of which many Western countries are accusing China of carrying out widespread cyber espionage against hundreds of thousands, potentially, of people in the UK. The Electoral Commission was allegedly targeted, exposing the data of millions of voters in the UK, although the country says that it wasn't actually compromised in the end. Also, parliamentarians, members of the British Parliament, the US Senate, their spouses as well as Chinese dissidents living abroad, journalists, anybody that has been critical of China in any form appears to have been a target, according to these allegations. Now, this does pose a serious problem for both the United States and the UK. We've seen that indictment from the US yesterday where 7 individuals were charged. Now, of course, they're unlikely to ever see a courtroom, but the UK is being accused of not going far enough in the fact that it only sanctioned 2 individuals and 1 entity. There are some very vocal members of parliament here in the UK who have allegedly been the target of this cyber espionage campaign, wanting the UK government to take further steps. They say sanctions don't quite send a firm enough message. They want China to be designated as a threat. In the last integrated review by the United Kingdom, China was instead labelled a systemic competitor, so not quite going as far as some would like. But yesterday we did hear from Prime Minister Rishi Sunak, who said that China is the greatest threat to the UK's economic security. He he defined China as an epoch-defining challenge. And certainly, although there are some who are calling for his government to go further, he insists that these measures have been taken in a very tough way in order to prevent any further risks to British or other democracy around the world in a year when so many people in so many countries are going to the polls.
Right, absolutely, Julia. Thanks very much indeed for joining us with the very latest there on what the UK is saying about China's espionage. For all the latest news, download the WION app and subscribe to our YouTube channel.